Last year, Vice President J.D. Vance made a splash at the annual Munich Security Conference with his blistering speech. Vance will not be speaking this year. This time, it will be Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Today, Secretary Rubio arrived in Munich, Germany. The annual event, which, by the way, began in 1963, is regarded as the world's leading forum for debating challenges to international security. Tomorrow, Secretary Rubio will speak. Before he left U.S. soil for Munich, we got a hint of how Rubio's speech might sound.
The world is changing very fast right in front of us. The old world is gone, frankly, the world I grew up in, and we live in a new era in geopolitics, and it's going to require all of us to sort of re-examine what that looks like and what our role is going to be. And we've had many of these conversations in private with many of our allies, and they are our allies, and we need to continue to have those conversations, and I think Saturday, hopefully, and the meetings we'll have there will move us in that direction.
National security correspondent Carla Babb joins me. Carla.
Hey, Greta. Well, as Rubio said, it sounds like the Trump administration is just changing the rules. NATO hits the 2% GDP defense spending goal, and then Trump bumps it to 5%. This week, NATO stepped up in a big way with big changes. If you remember Trump's threats to take Greenland from NATO ally Denmark, do you remember that, saying that they couldn't protect the Arctic? Well, the alliance started a new mission to focus on Arctic security, and that includes continuous exercises in, guess where? Greenland. And I spoke with NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen about this. He told me he'd been trying for years to get an Arctic strategy off the ground, but couldn't get NATO allies to agree. Denmark tried again last year, couldn't get everyone to agree. After the U.S.-led push, it's happening. And that's not all. NATO's European allies also agreed this week to take control over all the joint commands, including the one based in the United States, right here in Norfolk. Rasmussen praised the changes and even gave President Trump a nod, along with Putin, for motivating NATO's increased defense spending.
We realize that after Putin's attack on Ukraine, we are all in danger in Europe. So we have to step up our defense efforts. So that's really the driving force. But I would also give President Trump credit for his harsh rhetorics. I don't think anybody can be in doubt that also the US wants us to invest more.
Now, Greta, Trump still says he really wants Greenland, telling reporters just a few hours ago that the U.S. is negotiating right now for the island. And this week, he reposted an AI map showing Greenland and Canada, another NATO ally, as part of the United States. Now, Rasmussen said this is impossible.
It would, of course, be unheard if one ally, namely the U.S., militarily attacks another ally, namely Denmark, to grasp territory from that ally. That would be the end of NATO. I don't think Congress would accept that. No. Greenland is not for sale. And as all real estate agents know, if an estate is not for sale, it can be purchased.
Now, we broke this earlier. Ukrainian officials have confirmed Secretary of State Marco Rubio will meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at 5 p.m. local time tomorrow to discuss how to end Russia's brutal war against Ukraine. All eyes will be on those two men as we approach the 4-year mark since Russia illegally invaded Ukraine. 2025 was the deadliest year yet for civilians, nearly 3,000 killed, Greta. And Rasmussen said the reason was simple.
We have seen the deadliest year for Ukrainians because Putin does not want peace. And he wants to accelerate the attacks on Ukraine to force the Ukrainians on their knees to beg for peace on Russian terms.
So, Greta, big shakeups across the Arctic and across NATO. The main focus, European leaders told me, though, remains how to help Ukraine.
Carla Babb, thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.